and it's all you.
All right. Hey guys, gonna talk today about geocaching. If you haven't heard about that, it's kind of like a global treasure hunt, I guess, in a way. But I saw on their website there's actually like a 1-minute little intro video, so I'll play that real quick. And if you're into like outdoor stuff, this is a pretty fun thing to do. So share screen. All right.
Were you guys in the watermelon group by chance?
I wasn't, no. But I guess it's taken over. All right, yeah, so it's basically, like you said, it's like an ad for the app, but like their whole app is like kind of what started the whole geocaching thing. And so
Oh,
yeah.
I meant your watermelon app.
Oh, okay. I see. But yeah, either way, it's like you get like the coordinates for your GPS, and these days you can do it on your iPhone with the app, you know. And so you kind of get the coordinates to the cache is what they're called, and they're a lot of times like hiking trails, or oftentimes they're just like in the city somewhere where you live. There's probably a bunch near you, and you just kind of, yeah, I'll just like show an example. Like let's say we're going to like Tahoe or something, and you can see a map, and there's a bunch. See, there people hide these everywhere, right? Like they're right under your nose, most likely. See, and so if you're into like outdoor stuff, no matter where you go, somebody's probably hidden a geocache. Like I don't know, probably on the beach. Here's a good one. Let's see if I can. It's like hidden behind the thing. Hold on. There we go. Oh yeah, so some of them are like, there's like premium ones. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, see. So then it gives like some information about it, and I don't know, let's see if there's like people took like pictures of like them fighting and stuff. There's always like these little logs. Like, so yeah, basically if you zoom out, if you go to like any city, there's like a bunch of them. Let's see if this will update. Like we go like, yeah, see, look, there's like millions, right?
Oh my God.
And it looks like a lot, right? But I mean, you just would want to go to whatever's near you. Like we're in San Francisco, right? You can just do whatever. And so I found I've done this like off and on over the past, like actually for like 10 years, since I was like pretty young. And yeah, so I see it says like I found 100 up there. I haven't logged like the ones I've done recently. I've been wanting to get back into it over summer. But see, like it's really fun. Usually, let's see if I can find. This Zoom thing keeps getting in the way. Yeah, see, like these guys, I found this video. It's always really exciting too when you find it. It's so cheesy, but
yeah. Hey Kevin, I think you have some questions in the chat.
Oh, here, yeah. Invent. So how the actual boxes work. So yeah, here, look right here on the website. There's kind of some examples. So people hide these oftentimes in these bigger ammo cases, right? They put like official geocache on it, because there's people that find it randomly and you don't want them to destroy it. But oftentimes they're hidden like really in really creative ways, right? Like I found one that was like a fake sprinkler almost like in the ground, right? And yeah, sometimes they're really difficult, or like see these guys, I just found this video, see he's on his phone there. They've been looking for a while. And see, they're usually, sometimes they're just hidden like in easy spots like that, right? But see, these guys get really excited too about finding their little geocache. And then there's like a little log you can sign in there usually. And so yeah, I noticed I'm like hitting the 5 minutes, but yeah, so basically it's if you like hiking or outdoor stuff, it's a great thing to do, because I found like a lot of spots that I wouldn't have known of, especially even local to me, and it just takes you there, someplace you wouldn't go normally, right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there a way to like flag? I'm trying to imagine, like, okay, there's a bunch of geocaches in San Francisco, but how do we know that someone who doesn't know anything about geocaching didn't just pick out the box and then remove it or do whatever to it?
So let's see. So people post like see, all these people, they post if they found it or not. See, this one that we clicked on earlier in Lake Tahoe, it's been found like 270 times, right? And so yeah, because people, they've been around for years, right? And then they post if like 10 people in a row didn't find it, then it's most likely gone, or somebody's taken it, right? So it's kind of like a big the whole big community thing. There's somebody that kind of, whoever placed it, they hopefully we keep an eye on it, and we'll update it if somebody took it, right? So yeah, so you kind of hope people don't take it, and it does happen. You just have to replace them then, I guess. But that's why people hide it really well. And what's the coolest one I found? Yeah, so actually I have some family in Germany, and when I visited there's some where it kind of tracks the location of, they're called travel bugs, and you can like bring it to another geocache inside there. So I don't know, I don't think I could find it right now which one it was, but it basically kind of tracks it then over the whole world where it went. It's kind of a little, I don't know how to a little thing that people can bring wherever, and you can kind of see the history of where it was. Yeah, so basically wherever you live, there's probably one near it, right?
Awesome, Kevin. We have time for maybe one more question. Anybody else got another question for him?
I'm curious what the relationship is between like national and state parks and people leaving these random things in the parks that would usually, I think, be considered trash.
Yeah. There's been like a lot of controversies like that, and they have like a lot of official rules and stuff that people, or they remove them, But that's definitely been a thing in the past where you don't want, and people like poking around where they shouldn't, right? Get in trouble themselves.
Very cool. So, sorry, one question. Do you have to become a member of that site? Is it free to become a member?
Yeah, it's free. It's free. There's some premium ones, as we saw. We clicked on that one, but that's only some of them. The majority, it's great free fun for like if you ever go hiking or love outdoor stuff. Like there's so many. You'll never do all of them, so you can always find a spot.
Very cool. All right, guys. Thank you very much, Kevin. And let's jump into objects. That's all right. That was definitely interesting. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Okay. Okay. So today we're gonna talk about objects. Objects are similar, or have a lot of similarities to arrays, because, like Zan said yesterday, arrays actually are objects. Arrays are a special type of object where they have numerical keys. That's why arrays are useful to us in certain circumstances. When order is very important and we need to know, order, we need those numerical indexes. Objects in general are a more flexible type of data structure. So they're also key value pairs. So let me initiate one here. they use a slightly different bracket. Arrays used square brackets. Objects are going to use curly brackets, similar to the curly brackets that we've seen in if blocks and functions. But in this case, they are going to contain all of these key value pairs. So I have this object. When I want to put a key value pair in it, I have a few choices. First one we're going to talk about is called the assignment syntax. The way I do that, I declare my object with these brackets. Then I say object dot, let's say first equals a string. So just like arrays, they can hold any data type. This is going to be a string. Let's say, give it a number. If I now look at my object, you can see I have these two key value pairs, first, second. If I want to look at what's in my object, I can do the same thing. I just have to console.log that. I get logged out the value. I'm first. Same here, second. Two. Objects can also be written in a syntax called object literal syntax. So if I want to add like 8 objects or 8 key value pairs to my object, maybe I don't want to do this like assignment syntax over and over again. What I can do instead is say my object. So same thing, I declare a variable, give it a name, curly brackets. This time I'm going to give myself some space in there. And I write the key. I'm not going to call it first this time. I'm going to do this. Bool. I use a colon. I give it the value I want, and I comma separate them, just like an array. Oops, wanted that. What else can we make this equal to? Supposedly equal to 10. Does anybody know, can anybody tell me in the chat what it's called when I put a value of a function inside my object? It gets a special name. It's just a function, but it gets a special name.
It's called a callback.
It's not called a callback or anonymous. It's called a method. Methods, yes, Sarah got it in there. So does anybody know how I could invoke this method?
You just hit my object, the dot, and then func, and then parentheses.
Yeah. Thanks, Ben. Exactly. Invocation parentheses. So just like when I wanted to get the value of something up here and I just said object.second, that's the same with a method, myObject.func, and then I invoke it with parentheses. Wow, this should look shockingly familiar because we've been using a lot of this dot syntax. Like for instance, that. Like this. This dot with a method after it, we've been calling them functions, but they're methods. This function dot log is living on this console object, which is actually living elsewhere. But this is how we can put functions inside objects. They can hold any data type. So if that was, like we said, if it was an array, we would have had to find it by its numerical index, like 2, whatever. Objects do not have numerical indexes. If I said my object at, let's just say 0, it's not going to find anything. It's not numerical. It's not guaranteed to be in order. So what's up with this bracket syntax? So far, all of the keys that I've given to my object, bool, func, and last, I can access all of them by this dot method, dot bool, object dot func, Oh, I gotta console log these, that's right. Object dot last. Let's make this faster. Okay, right, so they all go in. I get 2, true, I get a function object, and the number 10 from all of these. If I want to have my object, I can do this. Also, I could add a key as 5 and set it equal to string 5. But what happens if when I want to look at that? I get this error, my object.5. I can't access non-string things here with this dot. What I need to use is bracket notation. So if I want to see what that is, just have to turn here. You need to use brackets. Brackets tell your computer that whatever is inside that bracket needs to be evaluated and turned into a string. This looks like a number 5, but under the hood, it's actually the string 5. Okay, all of these keys are going to be stringified. So that's why I can't just say .5, because what I'm really looking for is the string 5. The brackets will do that stringifying for you. So now if I said this, I will get 5. Same thing if I want to create something in there. I can say my object, let's see, 99 equals 99. Let's console log my object. All right, and that's our whole object. Any questions so far? Dot notation, bracket notation. All we're talking about is creating our objects. Assignment notation and object literal notation. So this is object literal notation. When I write them all in here, I use colons and commas. This is assignment notation, where I use an equal sign with either dots or brackets.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So, because you have to change it up in the case of using numerals as properties, is it then considered poor practice to use numerals as properties?
It's not considered poor practice. It may or may not be useful. Like if you really want numbers, maybe what you're really looking for is an array. But it's not poor practice. If you had a reason to want the key to be a number, that's totally fine.
Okay.
So another time that we're going to need to use brackets. If I said, I don't do the same thing. Var final equals last. How can I want to print 10 to the console. Anybody think of how I can do this? I want to get it out of my object. I don't want to use .last. Is there another way someone knows of?
You can use brackets now and give it a string with last.
Yep, I can. Like that, and this is actually exactly equal to doing this. .last. When I use the dot notation, I have to pass it a string. But if I want to use brackets, I can pass it a string. The other way I can do it is I can pass a variable into the brackets. Because just like I had said, how they're going to do this work for you in stringify, they're also going to do this work of a lookup. If you don't pass it a string, it's going to assume it's a variable. It's going to go find the value of that variable last and pass it in. So this is going to be converted into what Ben had us with last. And both of these will work. So here, we get 2 10s. One's from this line. I'll put this thing here. So we can see the difference. That 10 is coming from the final, and this 10 is coming from this next line. So brackets are necessary for variables and non-string values. You can use a string in a bracket by just passing in a string to the bracket, but the shortcut method is to use, if you are actually using a string, is to use the dot notation. But totally up to you. Brackets versus dots. Takes a little getting used to, which is which. Any questions so far? Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about before we break loose to go work on the exercises is how we iterate through an object. If I want to get all of the keys out of here, we need a special kind of loop. Let me actually make a space right here. The loop that we're going to use is called a for-in loop. So the loop that we use for arrays was called a for, technically called a for with semicolons loop. Because it had a look like this, right? Var I equals 0, semicolon, I less than collection dot length, and then we incremented I. The reason that this is not going to work with an object is that an object does not have a dot length property. They're not numerical, so it doesn't have that dot length. So we need a different way to iterate through our objects. The for-in loop structure is this. We're going to say for var key in key is going to be the key. So bool, func, last, 5. Inside this for loop, I can do whatever I want. I could console log. If I want these values, key, func, last, and 5, if I want what they're actually equal to, I access them with bracket notation. Someone tell me why I can't do this. Why can't I do what's on line 21?
Because key is translated as a string, and yeah, it wouldn't work dot and then starting with a string.
Right, if I did this, it would actually be looking for this, like the word key as a string. I want key to be a variable. I want it to be interpolated to be each thing in turn, bool, func, last, and 5. So I need to use bracket notation. If I use dot notation, it's going to look for the string key inside my object. So if I run this for loop, oops, I'd have to console. Oh, I did console log it here. Let me get some of these out of here. So I have it set up to do, let's just do keys at first. I get 5, bool, func, last. And look, they're not in order, right? They're not coming through in the exact order that I wrote them in. The order is not guaranteed in a for-in loop at all. I comment that out, I put this in, I get their values, 5, 10, function, true. Okay, that is what I wanted to cover. Any questions? And I'll put this code in the Slack chat. So is key an arbitrary variable in the for-in loop, or is it a special keyword that should be used in a for-in loop? Scott, you can use whatever word you want for key. So I could call this thing. As long as I use the same word here, it's always going to refer to the key. Because objects are called key value stores, like that's the most common thing. Say this is a key, this is a value. That's why key is probably the most common thing you're going to use. But if you have a very special object, like if you had this object that was like animals, Just make a couple here. Dog, true. Then maybe I would want to say for animal an object, right? Because that's kind of more, has more meaning. I could never spell it. So that word can be any, yeah, it's totally up to you. This part, my object, has to refer to the object that you intend to loop through. So this would have to be animals. All right. Anything else? Anybody else you guys want to talk about? So we're a lot of you guys have paired with a lot of people, so we want you to pick someone new today. Zan and I aren't going to go and write the pairs out. We want you to don't leave this Zoom until you have a pair, but try to find someone that you have not worked with and just hit them up on Slack quickly. Find a pair, any person that you haven't had the chance to work with yet. Grab each other here, do some Slack talking, but don't leave Zoom until you have a pair. So if there's anyone left, there's some people who aren't around today or aren't going to be able to stay for pairing, so they'll probably. Rose, I think, has a sick kid, so she'll be out.